What's up everybody, Rob here. So I'm here today with redemption on my mind. Now if you've seen any of my previous videos, I'm usually wearing a Spartan Race t-shirt. During the course of, a 3-year span, I ran 6 Spartan races and I earned a Spartan trifecta. Now if you're not familiar with what a Spartan race is, it's basically an obstacle race. It's a mud run really. You run through mud and you have to crawl under barbed wire and jump over walls and lift stones and all that stuff. And basically you complete an obstacle race. And the biggest one I did was a 15-mile one up in Vermont. That was fun. I did it in a little under 7 hours, and the reason why it took me that long to do is because I actually had to pair off with someone else because I left my headlamp at home and it was getting dark, and rather than being taken off the field for safety purposes, I had to team up with someone else who was moving rather slowly compared to me. Suffice it to say though, of all the obstacles that they had, I managed to do them all relatively easy. The hardest part actually was the endurance part of it. I'm not really... I find cardio to be somewhat on the boring side, and like lifting stones one thing, doing endless miles on a track or something like that, or going running around like a marathon or something like that, mind-numbingly boring, and I hate it. That being said, even though I was able to do all the exercises, there was one I always had problems with. Now, it wasn't the Hercules hoist, which is basically you're just this pulley and you got to pull this like several hundred-pound weight up on this pulley system. It wasn't an Atlas stone thing where you have to basically pick up a 120-pound concrete sphere, run it over to another side, do 5 burpees, pick it up, and then run back to the other side with it. Can do that no problem. Look, I deadlift like 400 pounds, 100-pound Atlas stone it's nothing to me. Yes, I'm bragging. I have a right to brag. Don't judge me. And if you do judge me, I don't care. But the one thing that I always had problems with was the spear throw. Every single time the spear throw came up, I failed miserably at it. And I mean, it seems so counterintuitive. You just take the spear and you throw it, and then it goes and it sticks in the stack of hay that they have there. Every single time I did it, I failed completely and utterly. And I'm here today to correct that. Now, of course, this is my channel. You're not going to go away without getting a history lesson. And today we have a spear here, or a spearhead. This is from Lord of Battles. And this is a dowel that I found in my basement. So you put the two together because I'm too cheap to get an actual high-quality spearhead and or a spear shaft. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to make do with what I have here. I think this was a like a marker pole or something like that for pouring concrete or something. I don't even know what it's for, but in any case, it's not exactly. It's kind of rough. It's full of knots, and it's not exactly high quality, but it should suit the purpose. Now, javelins have been around since the beginning of time, since mankind existed. Humans have been, well, the first tool invented was a knife. Basically, take a sharpened rock. It really doesn't take a lot to put the sharpened rock on the end of a stick, and then you take this stick, and then you throw it. There's not a lot to it there. Throughout history, javelins have been used pretty much up until the age of gunpowder. They were often used in hunting, but they also were used in warfare. And actually, people still use them today as a way to hunt deer and I think wild boar in Texas. Like spear hunting with spear hunting wild boar is still a thing there. Yeah, don't mess with Texas, I guess. Any case, specifically during the Greek era, since this is we are talking about the Spartan race here. We are talking about Spartans. Javelins and slings and stuff like that would be used by a class of individuals known as peltists. Peltists were named after their shield. They look something like this. And their job was to move in front of the main phalanx. Most of the Greeks, the actual main body of the Greek force was in something known as a phalanx. Most of you guys know this. If you don't, basically it's just a solid shield wall formation with these giant round shields called hoplons. And they would be in this formation, and they'd have their spears. There's debate over whether they were overhand or underhand. I tend to incline to think more overhand for reasons, but whatever. And they would advance in line like this. And what we would have is the peltists moving in front of the formation, going up against the enemy as skirmishers, pelting them with, javelins and slings and short bows, stuff like that. Just basically trying to break up the formation, kill off a few, do whatever damage they can before the main clash of arms. Now, what does this have to do with the Spartans? Well, actually very little. I actually brought this up during the race. Spartans did not throw their spears. They were the spears that they used were too heavy. They were just too large, and they weren't weighted properly. And if you threw your spear, that means you just have the reach advantage in that particular section of the phalanx you just lost. And that means that you now made the phalanx vulnerable in that spot. You are the weak link, and you could have destroyed the cohesion of the entire formation. The race organizers did not care, and I still had to do the burpees anyway. Now the Spartans, their army, did actually use peltists, but it wasn't the Spartans themselves. It was the Spartan elites, the homoioi, like when you think Spartan warriors, like the warrior elite. They did not. However, they did have a kind of a non-voting middle class within their society. It's something known as, what were they called? The periakoi, the dwellers around. It's kind of like a non-voting middle class. They were the craftsmen and the artisans, the tradesmen, that sort of thing. That they would make all the weapons and equipment for the Spartan warrior elite. And when Spartans went to war, the periakoi went along with them as these peltists, as these skirmishers and light shock troops. Kind of supporting the main, giving a little bit of tactical flexibility to the main body of Spartans. So that's pretty much it for a history lesson. I mean, look, a javelin is really just a smaller spear that's designed to be thrown at something. If you look here, this particular head of it is not particularly large. Javelins, of course, have to be smaller since they are designed to be thrown. Now, that means if you are hunting or if you are against an unarmored enemy, it's going to create a smaller wound channel, so it's not going to be as devastating as a very thick, heavy head. This whole thing is less than an inch across at its widest points, maybe about an inch. So it's not going to create a huge wound channel, but you can throw it, and it's just balanced for distance throwing, and you have to make a trade-off one way or another. You could have a big head, huge wound channel, but at the same time, you're not going to be able to throw it as far. It's not going to be as balanced properly. Smaller head, less damage, but you can throw it more effectively. Now, because of the length of this here, I don't have a nail, and I didn't feel like buying a whole set of nails for one nail because it's that small. A nail that'll fit through here at this point here to secure it in place. However, I do think that that won't be necessary. It's pretty secure. I don't think it'll be that much of an issue. So I can just pop this off anytime. It's not going to be that much of an issue there. And furthermore, there actually is a historical precedent for doing this, not having a nail securing the spearhead or the javelin head in place. If you go to one of the Norse sagas, there was a... I don't remember which saga, Egil saga? If you know which saga I'm talking about, leave it in the description below. It's not the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok. Now, he did slay a dragon, and he took the nail out of his spear. So when he stabbed it, the spearhead got embedded into the dragon that he slayed. And when they were inspecting the body, oh look, who slayed the dragon? Oh look, here's a spearhead. Oh look, there's Ragnar's spear. It doesn't have a spearhead on. Oh, it must be him. It's kind of like a twisted Cinderella type thing. No, I'm not talking about that one. There was one where somebody actually used a throwing spear, took the nail out, and threw it at his opponent, and I think it got embedded in his shield, sort of like a Roman pilum. And then the spearhead got embedded in the shield. The shaft fell out, and then the opponent couldn't throw it back. Either that, or it got embedded in the ground, and the guy couldn't throw it back. The point is, it was deliberately taken out so that it wouldn't be embedded. I want to say Egil Saga, but I could be I'm probably mistaken on that. So if you do happen to know which one I'm talking about, leave a comment below as to that. In any case, yeah, it's a spear, and you throw it, and that's pretty much it. Now, there is one rule I just want to point out about javelin throwing, is that they can be of any length. They're usually shorter. These things, this thing here is about 5.5, a little over 5.5 feet tall. I'm 5'7", just for comparison purposes, so make of that whatever you will. They can't be as long as a regular spear. Now, a Spartan spear or something like a Greek spear, well, spears throughout history, it's the most popular weapon ever throughout time. They're usually about 7 or 8 feet long, maybe about 9 feet for the really long ones. Javelins would have to be smaller like this because, again, they would have to be lighter. At the same time, though, it is a rule that it does have to be longer than or taller than the person who's wielding it. The main reason for this, in case you're carrying it and you slip and fall you don't impale yourself. If it's smaller than you and you slip and fall, you're dead. So that is the one rule. It does have to be taller than you are. Other than that, there's really no particular set length for these sorts of things. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's enough of that. That's enough of the history lesson. And all right, let's go see if I can actually figure out how to throw one of these things. Okay, so we're out here. We have Gary over here, who's been more than generous enough to be on the receiving end of the javelin throw. It's a bit windy out today, mostly because of well, there's a major storm yesterday. It rained like crazy. It's really nice today, but it is kind of windy, which should throw off my aim a little bit. You know, anything to make my life a little bit difficult. I just want to point out that more than likely, this spearhead here is not going to be embedded in Gary's torso. He's pretty rubbery, so yeah, I don't think it's gonna. I'm not gonna be able to throw with enough force to actually embed it in there. But really, we're just going more for the principle, you know, see if I can actually hit the target multiple times. I'm going to be going back about another, maybe 10 yards or so. These are not really long-range weapons. These are really just, you know, short-range things, you know, almost point-blank you could throw this at somebody. So I'm going to be going the relative distance of the what I had to do at the Spartan race, about 30 feet or so. And, yeah, about 10 yards, and we'll see what happens. All right, here we go. So I've been doing research on how to actually throw a javelin and not just, you know, hurl it like a moron like I've been doing. And apparently the proper technique is first you hold it at the balance point, roughly at the balance point, and you don't grasp it, you know, in like a death grip or anything like that. You just kind of have it between your fingers, kind of firmly but gently. And now from here, the proper stance, based on the direction you want to go, move your whatever hand you have, point it or have it in the direction of where you want to throw it, and then you move it along in a straight path. You don't just hurl it with twisting your whole body into it, you know, like you're not throwing a punch. You do move with it, yes, but it's more gentle. It's like it's almost like you're throwing a very large dart, you know, very gently and with precision, rather than, you know, spiking it in. And also another thing too is try to keep your arm going in the same path. I think that was my big problem, is I would, you know, like I'm trying to, you know, throw a hook at it. And obviously that didn't work out too well for me, but, you know, whatever. So, basic stance, legs apart, point towards the target, and then throw. So, like I said before, Gary's over there. We got about, I'd say about 30 feet or so. I don't know, I'm stuck at distances, and honestly, I couldn't pretend to care one way or another. It is a bit windy, so please forgive me for that if you have problems hearing, but, you know, whatever. Well, in any case, here we go. I'm going to be throwing this thing, and we're going to be going till I can get it consistently on target. And here we go. Okay, a slight change here. I don't want to be throwing in that direction since my neighbor is walking around out there, and I don't want to, you know, I don't think that would be very appreciative if I missed completely and he goes, he gets a spear embedded in him. So, yeah, I'm going to be going uphill. It should be a little bit more difficult, but you know what? Meh. Who doesn't love a challenge? All right, so here we go. Let's see if I can get this thing on target. He's really not going to like when I get a crossbow. So again, proper stance, point towards the target, and throw. We're going to be here for a while. I think my problem here with this is that I'm aiming for the target. I'm not compensating for gravity, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, instead of aiming for the center of mass, like you know, like one would think you should do, I'm actually going to be aiming, you know, higher up. I'm going to aim a little above the head, and hopefully this thing should arc and take it downward. We'll see how that works out. Not sure, but yeah. And marginally better, not much, but okay. Not as easy as it looks. Success, sort of. Yes, success. I'm chalking it up as a victory. Let's see if I can repeat that one more time, see if it was a fluke or if it was actually me, getting more skilled at this. I'm thinking fluke, but we'll take what we can. Okay, that was right on target. Well, not on target, but that was a very well made throw. It just would have, instead of hitting Gary, would have hit the guy next to him in the phalanx. So I think I'm getting better at this. A bit low, that would have taken his legs out. Fine with that too. All right, final throw. Whatever it is. But I think I got a handle on it. He's having a bad day. I'm about to make it worse. All right, this is the one. Here we go. And just clipped his shoulder. All right, so yeah, javelin throwing, not as easy as a lot of people make it seem. It's bit of a challenge. I'm also completely incompetent with these sorts of things. So, the two together, we got, what you saw here today, that wonderful display. But I think if there was a solid wall of hay, which was the actual target during the Spartan race, I think I would have done a better job now than I would have done back then. So yeah, I feel somewhat redeemed, not completely redeemed, but somewhat redeemed. So yeah, there you go. Javelin throwing, not as simple as people make it seem. So yeah, Gary, he's had better days, but he's had worse days too. I think he's got my blood stains on him from when I used him as a punching bag. I think I still have the crease on it. Yeah, the cut from where he cut my knuckle open. But yeah, better days. He's had worse days. In any case, that's pretty much it for the video. Hit the like and subscribe button. New videos will be coming out, honestly, whenever I get around to it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Have a good day. Or don't have a good day. You're adults, have any kind of day you want. See you later. And if all else fails, it's still a spear.